Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I'm Fabio, I'm the founder of TokenOps. We are a one-stop shop type of tool to manage token distributions and generate insights over their life cycle. So it's something between Carta and Nansen and Messari in Web3. So the talk today is going to be centered around the key questions that Web3 founders and investors have around token investing, which is, which are the right distribution terms, what are the supply emission rates that new ecosystems should build with the many unknowns on token distribution, what are the impacts on price of the unlock schedules, if there are any best practices and ways forward from the industry, and if there are any tools available to manage all of this. So I'm going to start with an overview on the research that has been conducted in the industry, and on these I have a couple of watch-outs and a few acknowledgements. So first, this is mostly descriptive statistics, so correlation and causation are two different things. So no strong statements here, it's just an overview of what has happened in the space. There is different research approaches and different data sets that you will see here, and none of this is advice of any sort. The shout out is to my friend Hakim from Outlier Ventures, Robert, and to Six Man Ventures to Carla and Mustafa for the research they conducted in the space. So they analyzed two different samples of the three companies, and they found out basically there's a very wide range of vesting terms which seem to be dependent on what are the Web3 sector, the market conditions, and the respective stakeholder is vesting from it. So we see a very wide range from 0 to 9 years vesting with a mean of 1 to 2 years in the sample from Outlier Ventures, with a cliff that goes between 0 and 36 months, with a 6 months cliff average, while Six Man Ventures, which has analyzed companies like Uniswap and like the largest protocols currently in the space, they see a range between 1 and 6 years with a mean of 2.3. With the unlock size that goes between 0.2 and 25% per step and a mean at 12%. Why are we looking at all this? Because there is actually an impact on price. So the supply release into an ecosystem causes high volatility and price pressure, especially in the first part of the vesting life cycle, which eases as the supply gets mostly vested. So you can see from Outlier Ventures, actually, in the moment of high supply and low demand, that's when the price drops and there's high volatility. While what in the research you can see on the right, you can see that when the tokens are mostly vested, so when the 70% of the supply is vested, actually the tokens tend to perform much better. So they have a 30% price increase, which happens both in the moment of bull market and bear market. Then it is true that price decrease when unlocks happen. This is true for private unlock events. So for public unlocks, since the token circulating supply unlocks due to public events is small, is below 1%, there is actually no significant correlation between these unlocks and the impact on price. So we see basically price declining 15 days before unlock and 15 days after, with a much stronger correlation in the 7 days window. So pre and post 7 days, it's where you can see the most of the price impact, which tends to be less relevant as we go to 15 days and after, because there's a lot of market stuff happening that just impact the price as well as the unlock. So based on what you've seen here, there's a few best practices that could be extrapolated from this, which is what Six Man Ventures is proposing, while Outlier, so again, shout out to Hakim who is here, is proposing a new way of doing investing, which is adjusted for KPIs. So again, looking at the left-hand side of the slide, there's a 1% unlock rule. So the lower the unlock, so the small amount of tokens you unlock, basically the less you're going to have an impact on price. So if you could choose as a founder, rather trying to stream tokens by the second to your vestees rather than do yearly unlocks, rethink the way you put the cliff. So if you put like a cliff after 1 year, after 2 years, where you have these big supply releases, then it's going to impact your price. So think about, again, smooth releases, start releasing since the beginning with smooth curves. And then try to get to a point where most of your supply is unlocked. So you get into that 70% of your supply unlocked so that there is more liquidity in the market and you don't cause these price bumps. Or you could experiment around like a new way of doing this, which is adjusting algorithmically your supply release based on a few KPIs, which could be price, which could be adoption of your protocol. This would cause less price volatility because you can, for example, reduce the supply when the price is high. Increase the supply when the price is high and reduce the supply when the price is low. This will create artificial moment of scarcity or abundance that will keep the price from big bumps. And this is actually beneficial for both founders and investors because investors could actually participate in bringing the right upside to the token and the right stability. There's just one watch out here. This has been, a theoretical exercise done, so it hasn't been put into practice yet. So it needs a bit of in-market testing. So be careful with using this. Lastly, I'll go through, what founders can do at the moment in order to manage this whole supply release. So we see that organizations and investors have three main problems. So they basically lack the ad hoc tools to manage the token life cycle. So you need to set up your own vesting smart contracts or do the releases manually, which is actually not scalable. So you need to spend time and money into setting up these contracts. You need to have the security audits done for those in order to be secure, and then you basically lack visibility on what is happening to your token vesting. So all these exercises that you've seen in the previous slide are ex post, so they're based on historical data, so we want to be able to predict this and observe this before it happens. So what we're trying to do with TokenOps is create this type of software where you can control the entire distribution of tokens, manage the accounting and compliance part, which is becoming more and more relevant as regulators are cracking down on the industry, and you can generate all these insights in a predictive way. We'll also open APIs soon so that we can integrate with the other platforms that are being used in the industry to do investor relations and accounting. So just a quick walkthrough. With our tool, you can integrate any vesting contract, any token streaming protocol. We started with Superfluid at the moment, and you can see all the stakeholders when they are unlocking their schedules and who has vested, who has claimed their tokens. And from there, you can track all the wallet and see what the users, what your vestees are doing with your token. So if they're actually becoming users, if they're restaking it, or if they are immediately selling them. So you can track also the outflow of those. This, again, enables both founders and investors to act on these distributions. We have a single interface to create these contracts so that CFOs and non-technical people can do it on their own, and employees and investors can claim their tokens from a single interface. So you're able also to track an entire portfolio of unvested tokens very seamlessly. Of course, we're not the only ones. There's a bunch of tools that are being created in the industry in order to manage token life cycles. So we have from the PTG tools like Carta, Pulley, that will help you understand what you have assigned in terms of SAFT and off-chain to investors and communities. Then there are tools like Liquify, VTVL that create the smart contracts. And then you have analytics, data tools like Nessari, like Nansen, where you can see what is happening on chain, and then all the custodians and wallets and treasury managers that help you, lock this token and detain this token. And we are trying to be this layer of aggregation that can sit on top and in between all these tools to just become a multi-chain single source of truth and composability with the ecosystem of softwares that are being developed in the space. We are working already with the best organizations in the space. Among these, there's 1inch, Cow, Request, and Morpho. And so you can, if you come and work with us, you'll also have access to a great collection of partners that can help with market making and the accounting side of things. I'll stop so I can take questions.
Hi. Okay, so many projects maybe need to launch on multiple networks. And if you want to release a token, vested schedule, multiple networks, it creates a conundrum in terms of where's the source, how do you do it on multiple networks so that you keep you stay in control of your supply? Do you trust bridges, etc.? Is there a strategy or some thinking that you have around that?
Very good question. So what we are trying to build is a tool that is inherently multi-chain, so they will enable you to control everything that is happening on different chains. So yes, you can bridge your tokens, and from that, you'll be able to monitor how your token is doing on different chains. Having said that, I don't think there is enough literature yet and enough knowledge to have a safe way to say do it this way or do it the other way and ensure success. I think even the whole concept of multi-chain is what a lot of teams are trying to solve right now. So.
But your tools will work on multi-chain.
Yeah. Right now we're just live on EVMs, but over time we'll work also on making it available across.
Hey, thanks for that. So at the end you said you also have partnerships with market makers. I wonder if you're seeing any growth and understanding in market makers' brief to facilitate a longer-term financial strategy for these projects using their tokens, because a lot of market makers come in and they think it's a conventional market making gig, just maximize profits off the spread, whereas actually the needs are slightly different if you're using market making as an accessory to capitalize on your tokens to meet longer-term funding goals.
Yeah.
Have you seen any growth in capacity and understanding and honest actors in the space who are able to provide that more financially oriented service?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of market makers that are in very good faith that even approach projects saying that projects need more than one market maker exactly to ensure more stability, more liquidity, and avoid price bumps and long-term incentives. So we like to work with the kind of people that are very open and transparent about working in this way, which is why we're very selective with the partners we work with. Having said this, it's a bear market. A lot of people are trying to survive, so there can be surprises there. So I think our advice is always trying to know who you're working with, and actually have a bit of redundancy of suppliers. So if you have multiple market makers, you ensure that you have support at any point.
Just real quick, my name's Carl. I'm head of research at Six Man Ventures. Fabio, great job walking through the research and pointing out the different insights, let's say, from both teams. So I just want to say hi if anyone has questions on the initial research that was discussed, and great job walking through it.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, maybe just to follow up directly, because I would be super interested in the parameterization of the recommendation model. So based on which KPIs and the trade-offs between different goals would you then be willing to recommend different strategies or vesting strategies to the investors?
Are you referring to the AVV model? Yeah. So, Achim, do you want to take this question maybe? Basically, is asking if we have recommendations on which kind of parameters to select in order to correctly implement adoption adjusted vesting. Yeah. The study basically runs an example on pricing, so that you can adjust your supply based on the price performance. So when the price is high, you increase the supply. When the price is low, you decrease the supply so that you can keep the token fluctuating between like some price controls. But I don't know, Kim, if you also experimented around.
Yeah, just speak to me after the session and then we can discuss it. Because, yeah, it's...
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are over the time, so thank you. And next speaker, please.
You have to speak right after? Yes. He's the speaker set up.
I will help you to set up everything.
You will help me set?
Yeah.